Hey, it's Jaime with Running Restaurants. I've got a great snippet for you from a recent in depth webinar we did called The Top 8 Restaurant Mistakes and How to Fix Them. In this clip, Roger Beaudoin of Restaurant Rockstars covers one of the mistakes. Here you go. Mistake number 4, enabling order taking. And this is what happens by default. And I know you're going to go into this in depth, but
Mhm.
this is a gigantic mistake that's happening. People just do the basics. Do you want me to go to the next one right away?
Yeah,
The
why not?
picture, the visual. All right, here we go.
So, yeah, before we get into this iceberg thing, because this is a very powerful sort of reinforcer of what I'm going to talk about. But this goes back 30 years ago. I started my first restaurant, and I just instinctively knew that if my people were well trained in the menu, they knew the menus inside and out, and they also knew what made our restaurant special and unique and different that set it apart. And if they could chit chat at the tables and at the bar with every single guest and tell them about some of these things that set us apart, I just knew our sales would increase versus the people that had them nice personality, but they just got the pad in hand and the pen. It's like, what'll you have? That's the order taker. And if you realize you've got multiple people on the floor or behind the counter, if you've got a full serve restaurant, or behind the bar, you've got multiple people serving the public. Think of the thousands of dollars your restaurant could be losing if they're just taking the order versus with the knowledge and making suggestions that we know the guests will enjoy and appreciate. Think about how much more your sales could be. This is a low margin business. People are struggling trying to make a decent living here and keep the lights on and not lose the business post pandemic because we lost 100,000 plus restaurants and inflation being what it is and the highest labor costs ever. The one thing you can control is your team being salespeople versus order takers. And I'm going to take that one step further. Whether you've got a fast casual, quick serve, food truck, drive through, or a full serve restaurant, you've got people that are representing your business, that are guest facing, that are in a very powerful position to make one suggestion every half an hour that's going to increase your sales, and even more frequently if it's fast casual restaurants. So just think about it. Every person that walks into your business, regardless of the type of restaurant you have, is ready, willing, and able to buy. And if you give them lots of reasons to have an amazing experience, they're going to be more free spending. They're going to spend more money, and that'll put more money to your bottom line. So let's
Yeah,
talk about this iceberg thing. What is this?
you ready to go below the surface? What do you want to do?
Not yet. So, Jamie, you've seen this many, many
Yeah.
times, and I know this has come up in some of our live shows before, but we have to keep saying it because it's such a powerful representation of what I just said. So, very few people realize that as big as they think an iceberg is, that piece of ice on the water, the largest piece of any iceberg is below the surface, and it's hidden and unseen. And I love this analogy because restaurants are perfect examples of this. You can move to the next slide. So here's where I'm going with this. Order takers think of that piece of ice on the top every single shift when they take the order, you know, deliver the food and bring the check. Those are ordinary experiences that are not taking things to the next level. They're not making friends for the restaurant. They're not creating loyalty, positive reviews. They're just taking the order and, bringing the food. And that's boring. It's not extraordinary. But through that product knowledge and restaurant knowledge, they can make all these suggestions below the surface that are hidden to the order taker that increase sales, upsells. Okay, an upsell. Let's just say you've got a bar, a liquor bar, and someone orders a gin and tonic. Do you want to sell them a well gin and tonic for $6 or $7 or $8, or do you want to sell them a premium like Bombay Sapphire or Tanqueray 10 when suddenly it's a $10, $11, $12 drink? Okay, of course you do. That's an upsell. Add-ons. I would hope that your menu has many opportunities to have additional things that enhance the dish that the person orders. So if we're talking about salad, maybe it's a Caesar salad. Add-ons could be chicken, grilled chicken, or fresh Atlantic sea scallops, or even shrimp, or something along that nature. And if your team are well versed in this and presenting this and saying this will really enhance your Caesar salad, you just up the price of that salad by many, many, many dollars. Most profitable items, we're going to get to that in this webinar also, but I ask a lot of restaurants that I coach, what's your most popular item? Everybody can tell me that. Oh, my guests love this and they'd kill me if I took it off the menu. It's like we sell thousands of them a week. Okay, great. What's your most profitable item? and they kind of stop dead in their tracks and they just don't know. And that is at their peril and at their hazard. But once you know your most profitable items, and I'll cover that in a couple slides coming up, you want to train your team every single day in presenting those things. Oh, my favorites are A or B, and you bring those things to life, using this technique we call theater of the mind, where they bring it to life so the guests can see it and smell it and visualize it and picture it. And, oh, that sounds so great, I've got to have it. You want to do that with your most profitable items, because you can spin wheels every day and fill your seats and not make a ton of money, or you can fill your seats and sell your most profitable items and make more money. And that's how you increase your margins in this business, just one way. Bottles of wine. We love bottles of wine. It's like having an extra guest at a table that doesn't require any extra effort. And that person, that extra guest at a 2-top or a 5-top or whatever it is now spending like a minimum of $25. And here's a bottle of wine. We love that. That's great. Desserts go without saying. Coffee drinks, a huge opportunity. Okay. Lots of people order coffee at the end of a meal. It's just sort of a tradition. It's that people have been doing it for decades, right? You might even order coffee at the end of a meal. When was the last time you went out to a restaurant? And I can't remember. It's never happened to me, where the server says, "Oh, would you prefer Jameson's or Bailey's in your coffee?" And, we'll put a dollop of whipped cream in there and some chocolate shavings, and it's the perfect end to the meal. And suddenly, wow, I like Bailey's. That sounds really good. Bring me one of those. And now that $3 or $4 cup of coffee just turned into a $12 or $13 cup of coffee, or even more. Okay. And the guest had a better experience. Okay, this is what the order taker misses. Retail merchandise. We talked about building a brand before. And when you build that brand, then suddenly you can create this whole retail merchandise program like it's Disneyland. You can't get through Disney World or any of those theme parks in Orlando. And Jaime, I know you can bear that out. There's like 35,000 gift shops wherever you happen to go. And you can't go from this ride to that ride without passing through a gift shop and spending more money. You can do the same in your restaurant if you make this stuff appealing and visible. And hopefully it's in the entrance where people have to pass by it. And I would go so far, my employees all wore the logo merchandise as their uniform. And that sold a lot of retail merchandise as well, because people are impulsive when they go out to eat and they see something they like. And it's like, oh, can I have one of those? Okay, sure you can. Not every restaurant can have live music or events, but it's a huge way of increasing sales in your bar and keeping people longer and eating more food and all that. And it can be as cost effective and inexpensive as paying an acoustic guitar player who sings all those favorites that everyone knows, Cat Stevens, Beatles, whatever, and you pay him $300 for 3 hours and he increases your sales. So these are all the hidden opportunities. I call this the land of the sales star. Sales Stars is a training program I have in my academy. I'll tell you more about that later. But think about it. I doubled and tripled my sales year on year whenever I started a new restaurant, simply by training my people in these techniques. So you can let the chips fall where they may and give people a menu and let them order what they want, or you can train your people to make suggestions that enhance the guest experience and increase your sales.
Yeah, Raj, listen, every time I hear that, I go, wow. And I think a lot of people probably hear that and go, ouch, like literally feel nauseous that they're leaving so much money on the table, because that's exactly what's happening here. And again, this was literally the sentence I will paraphrase the sentence I got about a week ago from a server as we finished the meal. You guys are probably too full for dessert, right? Like I was like, I guess we're like, I guess not. So,
Right.
and I think you're gonna elaborate on that in just a second. But
Yeah.
that question obviously was phrased as a no. Of course, yeah, just get us a check. And just so many missed opportunities from you already hit on the wine, but I mean, just an extra bottle of beer sometimes just by paying attention.
Mhm.
$7, boom. How much that is profit? I don't know, 650, $6. So many opportunities that get missed. This can be the difference between your really thin margin and a margin that you're comfortable with doing these things. So again, you're probably feeling like, oh my gosh, we're not doing these things well. Get with your staff. Huge opportunities inside of here. Raj, I just talked about that yes, no question. This one drives you crazy.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, it's a pet peeve of mine. But before we go there, let me just, you don't have to back up the slide or anything, but we used to say that someone really awesome who was a personality on the floor or behind the bar, had what we called it,
Hmm.
IT.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it represented a person that combined four really powerful attributes that the guest could feel and experience. And it was one, personality, two, attentiveness, three, product knowledge, and four, salesmanship. And we trained our people every single day to have those four things and to show up with it. And man, the guests
Yeah.
could feel it, and we could see it in the sales and in the guest experiences and the positive online reviews. And that is the absolute opposite antithesis of the order taker. So, an order taker, you just mentioned that experience you had the other day where the server
Mhm.
says, "You probably don't want dessert, do you?" Well, that's sort of similar to what I call the yes no question. And that was an absolute do not ever, ever let me hear you ask a yes no question when you're interacting with a guest in any of my restaurants. What's a yes no question? Does anybody want dessert? Can I bring you anything else? Okay. That's a yes no question. That's not what it's about. It's about giving suggestions for things that you know that the guests will enjoy and appreciate, and that's going to increase your sales. Okay? So never the yes no question, because the yes no question has 50-50 odds. Maybe the guest will say yes, maybe the guest will say no, and those are terrible odds. So choices improve your odds of making a sale. This has been proven over and over again with my clients, with all of my restaurants over 20 plus years. So I love this example because one, I have a sweet tooth, and I kind of like desserts. And we always had these really sort of unique, interesting, creative names for all of our menu items because they capture the public's imagination, and the name actually is giving the person on the floor an advantage in selling it by virtue of what it's called, right? And even if the guest sees it on the menu, it just plants a seed like, wow, I want one of those. So let's just say we have a couple of desserts here, and let's just say choice A would be, uh, you know, the raspberry cream disaster. Okay, raspberry cream disaster has a 33 1/3% chance that when you describe it to the guest, it's going to sound good. They're going to say, "Yeah, bring me that." Choice B might be the chocolate peanut butter blast. Okay, can you see how those names kind of play in your head, and they kind of make it sound like, wow, that sounds really good. I don't want to miss that. And especially when the server describes them and, oh, these are to die for. These are my favorites. Okay, choice B. Chocolate peanut butter blast is a 33 1/3% chance that the guest says, wow, that sounds great, bring it. And then the third choice, of course, is always no. But instead of two choices, yes or no, now you got three choices. And this is simple math. All three of those choices add up to 100% together. But by giving choice A and choice B, now you've got two chances that one of those choices, those desserts, are going to sound fantastic. You add those things together, and now you can see it's 66.6% odds of making the sale versus 33% no. You just doubled your odds of making the sale simply by bringing it to life for the guest and describing two choices, whether it's an appetizer or off the menu specials that's really profitable to sell, or desserts, or even coffee drinks. Choice A, choice B, not does anybody want dessert? That's why it's always been a pet peeve of mine. Choices improve your odds of making the sale, and it
Yeah.
happens all the time.
Super good, super quick, simple example that you gave there, Roger. And the names of the desserts also is a big tip. You touched on it, but you didn't. I'll hammer it home. Like, yeah, make it captivating. Make it captivating. Give your folks some talking points for you. Absolutely. I would like to order both of those, by the way. And so I might do that. So yeah, make those names captivating. Have fun with it, but definitely sell more by giving your folks the tools to do so. Great stuff there from Roger Beaudoin of Restaurant Rockstars. This was part of our in-depth webinar called the Top 8 Restaurant Mistakes and How to Fix Them. For the full webinar, plus access to over 1,000 other hospitality tips, tricks, and tools, go to runningrestaurants.com/subscribe. That's runningrestaurants.com/subscribe.